What's up, DubNation? Rich with Let's Go Warriors here, and I'm about to give you our next podcast, which today is Friday, May 2nd. For me, it's 11:19 a.m. right now, so not a whole lot of time again. I've got to somehow figure out a way to edit these podcasts and get them out to you sooner than later, but it is a lot of work to edit a 5.5 hour live stream down to about an hour. Now, I want to just head right into it. I did rewatch the first quarter or most of the first quarter of game 5. And so again, I don't know if I said it incorrectly just now, but game 6 is tonight. And I watched the first quarter again of game 5. And you'll see in the podcast that comes up after this intro that I really let Jimmy Butler off the hook big time. And he made, I count, 4 mistakes in the early goings of game 5, unfortunately. And so during the live stream, the watch party, I said that, boy, he doesn't look right and he is probably dealing with his tailbone. Well, I looked carefully and I didn't see anything different with his gait. I didn't see any winces of pain. So perhaps he just played bad. And that kind of gets into my next thesis, which is, I hate to say it, but I think the Warriors and the veterans, obviously, it's always coming down to Steph, right? Always comes down to Steph. I think they tricked off game 5.
Emotional roller coaster of the season for us to be able to, climb our way back into relevancy and then trick off a couple opportunities to get it done within the 82.
So Bruce Morrow out there, our faithful and loyal Blue Wrencher on YouTube, in the comments, moderator. And for game 6 tonight, it's going to be him as my co-host as Dean has to work. But Bruce is right. He's like, we have to take them seriously. We have to take them seriously. Oh, they're not taking them seriously. Oh, game 6, we have to take them seriously. And to a degree, Bruce is right on the nail. Now, I will caveat that, and I don't know if Bruce is not able to say this in the 200 character limit in the YouTube comments or what have you, but I will also add that I think it's just, number one, just our veterans have been through so much. So it is kind of hard to really get up for a game 5 when you know that there's still a game 6 and a game 7 if you screw up. And then the second part to that is that Houston is actually a pretty darn good team. Like, they're one superstar away from being championship contenders. And we won't get into that right now. Maybe in the offseason, we can look at some possibilities. Kevin Durant, maybe. But anyways, Houston is actually a darn good team. They do not lie down and they don't give you any games. And the Warriors, when you're 35 years or older, sometimes and I always go back to the men's rec league analogy. If you know you're playing a young team and you know you have a 7-game series, or maybe it's a tournament, Asian American tournament here in the Bay Area or somewhere where it's pool play, and you know you can trick off a game and still be alive for the championship. If you're 35 and older, you might not be as intense. And that's, again, I go back to why during the live stream, I really gave Jimmy Butler a huge excuse on the tailbone issue. Now, he went on the podium later and said that his tailbone's fine and he just needs to play better. So there's that. But of course, Jimmy would never tell you if he's indeed hurting and always will deflect any excuses. And so it might have been that, or it might have been just that he tricked it off alongside Steph, because Steph had those 2 really bad half-court turnovers to Amen early on. I think it was 2. Might only have been 1, but it definitely was egregious. And speaking of which, I'm going to go live in the next 4 hours or so, and I hope you'll join me because we're going to dissect the first quarter. I would have done that and put it in this intro for you guys listening to my podcast, and I really appreciate you being here. But it would just take so much more additional work, and I did want to get some content out there in this late morning as we are in the Pacific time here. Beautiful day in the Bay Area, by the way. This is everything from game 5 that Dean and I saw. And I also want to add that I'm going to put the timestamps in there after I publish it because it'll be my full edit of it. A lot of times I don't have time to actually go back and do one last edit through an entire hour. So it's just the method to my madness. So thank you for allowing me to do that. So to summarize, in the following podcast, I am going to refer to my huge reasons for Jimmy having a bad game. And I attribute it to he doesn't look good and it's probably his tailbone is hurting him, but it might not be actually. I could be wrong about that, number one. And then number two, and finally, the good news is that we tricked off game 5. Like it was not competitive out of the gate. And then you get down by the score of like 20-5, I think it was, maybe 20-8. And in the first couple minutes, you're down big like that already. Again, Houston is not a bad team. They're a pretty darn good team. So you know how we always, I don't want to say blame, but you always put the pressure on the supporting cast, like Guy Santos or Jonathan Kuminga. You got to go in there and you got to not make any mistakes and you got to cut hard and you got to rebound and do all these little things. Well, the starters didn't do that. And I'll go through that almost play by play when I go live, probably right after this. So I'm going to go live and I'm going to go through the footage of the first quarter. And then I'm probably, if I have time, edit that and make that into its own video that's more consumable for the people that don't like to hop on lives. But it all comes down to how serious do the Warriors starters take it. And I think the good news is that sometimes they just can't do it. The bad news is also that we're just not a young team like that. Houston is, but when we're engaged and we're executing, we are better than Houston. So Houston doesn't have that. But what will happen in game 6? You would hope you're going to root for the Warriors to be engaged and execute and do the right things. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, doing the right things. So I did criticize Pajemski. I did criticize Buddy Hield. You'll see in the podcast that comes after this, but we're at home. Also, Quinten Post. Now, the plus minus isn't going to show it, but Quinten Post came into the game in the first quarter, and boy, he made an impact immediately. And he was the guy that wasn't making mistakes, at least in the first couple minutes of him being subbed in. By the way, Jimmy Butler was subbed out. So to the person in the comments the other night on the live stream who said, actually, I think it was either Made in Heaven or Jasmine, kind of arguing with me that, oh, you need to bench players when they play bad, whether that's Steph, Jimmy, or Draymond. Well, at least Jimmy did get benched after the 4th mistake that he made in only a couple minutes. And I will detail what those 4 mistakes were. So if you want to know what those were, come and join me on the live or watch the edited version that comes after that, probably later this afternoon. And then this all boils down to who you're going to start next game, which is tonight, game 6. I'm with Bruce. Bruce suggested, good on Bruce. I'm glad to have him as my co-host for tonight. He suggested actually Quinten Post. I'm really proud of Bruce because it shows on the tape. It shows on the tape. I think I would go with Quinten Post, but I don't know. Let's trust the coaching staff. It's probably going to be him or Moody. I don't see it being Buddy Hield because he's always kind of a liability on defense, number one, but he was also kind of just standing in a corner or standing on the wing on offense in game 5. Well, that one was on the road. So you expect your role players to kind of not play as well on the road as the saying goes in the NBA. All right. So I think I've talked enough. I think I've covered everything and just appreciate you guys cheering and appreciate you guys for being part of the Let's Go Warriors family. We'll see you tonight. But then also, again, I'm doing the live stream pretty much right away, early afternoon in the Bay, and going through the X's and O's of that first quarter so that we can really dissect what we did wrong. And then it'll support my thesis of we tricked off game 5. We sometimes trick off games, and that's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. All right. So I hope you guys will feel better going into game 6 because of that. Thanks a lot. And here is me and Dean after the game from game 5. It is crazy watching their starters play our bench. Yeah, well, wake up call for the old guys. I think number one is Jimmy. Jimmy's not 100%. So get some rest. I should add that I was listening to the podcast of Warriors Plus Minus. Slater reported Jimmy's left buttocks Forrest Gump voice. Jimmy's left buttocks now. The left side of his tailbone is hurting him. So that's why I kind of knew going into this game that Jimmy's still in a lot of pain. And just the way he played defense was kind of conserving energy. In other words, not good defense, but what are you going to do, man? Steve Kerr, I forgot to mention, and Steve left him in there, which tells me that it's painful because as a baller, you know that when you play on an injury, it's better than sitting on the bench with an injury. Time to catch up on some comments. Stop leaving Van Vliet open. See, everything that is problematic with our defense is just kind of like, well, Jimmy's injured, so I hope in 2 days he just gets healed up. Yeah, mid-range beats this team because they like to be physical with stuff, at least for the meat of the game. Avoiding talk radio until Monday. Exactly. Way to go, bench. 17's a better visual than 35. Yeah. All right, let's see. Hey, Dean.
What's up, Rich? Gosh, a lot of thoughts about the game.
Really?
Kind of feel like this is the best loss of the season, though. You know?
Really? No, we've had better losses.
Well, but
I have to disagree with you on that. Well, why is it the best loss of the season? First of all,
we forced them to bring their starters back in while Steph and Jimmy got.
Oh, I see.
And Draymond got huge amounts of rest. Yeah, we were at 13 with a chance to go to 11. I thought Steve might bring Steph in, but
because the melee,
yeah, low rest there. I'm okay that he didn't. Just let these guys have their moment. Also, I didn't think we were able to get a call all night long, and I'm not one to complain about the referees.
Zarba is compost. I'm sorry, I disagree with a lot of Warriors beat writers on that one.
It was not a good game in terms of equality of calls. You saw that even with Key and Knox and all that. I thought there were a bunch of fouls that we didn't get today, and that's okay. Still had an ejection and a technical and stuff like that, as we're going to have every single game this series. This was just a great team effort, great energy effort from the Warriors, and really happy that the team showed fight. No matter who was out there, it's all the Warriors. Doesn't have to be Steph all the time.
And the other thing I'll say to that is a lot better than losing tonight on a buzzer beater by Fred Van Vliet, let's say, right? Right? I would definitely rather lose this way than that. So I think that's inarguable. In that respect, maybe so in terms of like good loss or best loss of the season. I don't know that we learn anything though. And Kuminga, too bad he didn't get some burn because he's out with an illness, but I would love to see us break the zone with Kuminga action, but hit the paint and go pick and roll with Steph, something like that. I don't know, but like now that's priority number one is to figure out that zone that we cannot beat.
A few moments later.
Moses, 3 years ago, you guys had kind of a similar situation in Memphis when you got blown off the floor in Game 5 and came back and won Game 6. Any memories or flashbacks to that game tonight for you guys?
Yeah, well, it was even more similar to 3 years ago. We played Dallas, and we had a closeout chance in Dallas. And same thing, they was up by a lot. We came in. It was me, J.K., Belly, Cheese, D. Lee, Juan, maybe. I forgot who else. Cheese wasn't there. But, so they brought their starters back, tied them out. They had to fight for the win, and we walked them off the next game. So let's finish that story the same way.
Gotta love the confidence Moody built against the starters in the late third and fourth, right? Bruce said can't rely on 2022. It's a different team. That's absolutely true. But I'm glad that Moses brought up that game. We were up 3-0, of course, and lost that game. It was the night of the Uvalde shooting, the day of the Uvalde shooting, actually, which is once Steve Kerr went up in the podcast and gave a great speech that I listen to regularly, actually. But I think you're right. The roof leaked or there was some big stoppage in the game or something. And just everything went wrong for the Dubs then. But the third string guys, the third team all Warriors players. Hey, that's good. I like that. Yeah, their third team all Warriors selections came in and got it a little closer, and the team played excellently in game 4. Sorry, we lost game 4 by 10 points, 119-109, but won game 5 by 10, 120-110. So I like that Moody brought that up for sure. I'm excited about what we saw from the young guys out there. I feel like we learned that the full court press is going to be huge next game from everybody. That really, I think, did a lot of good for the Dubs. Just having guys willing to full court press the Rockets. And back at home, you expected maybe a little bit more favorable whistle, I think, too. So I'm very excited. I have work that day, unfortunately, so I won't be available on the podcast. But
Bruce,
yeah, you got to step up, man. Play like Braxton Key, Bruce. Come on, man.
Yeah,
let's go. Third team all Warriors, baby.
Yeah. You got to make your putbacks, though, Bruce.
Got to make your what?
Putbacks.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. No, he hustled. He hustled like a maniac, having not played it forever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody played really well, and I have to say,
wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome if we saw Braxton Key like doing the mic and drill like extra tonight or something or other?
Yeah, let's start the third string. Take everybody off the bench, man. Let's do it. But yeah, I just think the full court press and the ability of the third unit to push them off the 3-point line was very, very important. That confidence building comeback, loss or not. I mean, we could have gotten blown out and we didn't. We said we're down 34. Oof. We lost by 17, 19, whatever. All good though. Pat Spencer's a baller. He shouldn't have gotten thrown out either. That was ridiculous. I hope the NBA rescinds his technical, actually.
They should give a flop to Sengun. That was ridiculous.
I mean, literally. The headbutt, and when he didn't touch him. Everybody in the world, if you get in their face, put their head down like that.
No, it was a headbutt, but not like a real headbutt. Like he stopped short. Pat could have really made it serious if he wanted to.
Everybody's going to put their head down like that when you're talking to him. He didn't headbutt him in the face.
I mean, we could debate whether or not you categorize that as a headbutt. I'll say it was, but it was just like his ridiculous flop after that because it was a tiny one, and then he exaggerated it. And I'm done with those. Like Sengun, stop with that. That's Dylan Brooks level stuff. You know what I mean?
Brooks didn't get called for anything on that play.
Yeah, and the first time he elbowed, it was like an intentional elbow. That had intent. He wanted to cause harm on the grab. They were grabbing him, but he didn't care it was Pat. It's not like he's targeting Pat Spencer specifically. It's a Warrior is to my left, and I'm going to jab like this with my elbow and not high because I know the refs won't do anything on high. So it's back to like all these, especially Dylan Brooks, these guys manipulate every little thing, and that's not basketball.
Well, how do you end up throwing Pat Spencer out of the game too?
Yeah.
Getting ejected?
So good job by Trace, man. Get in there and push Sengun away. You're 7 feet. You're approaching a 6'3" guy. Like really approaching him. Like he can't do anything because like you're so much bigger than him. Because like a 6'6" guy, what like most guys approach with, something in front of their body. Sengun is approaching with his chest.
Spencer walked away after that too. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So that was horribly called. Zach Zarba.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. The call, I mean, obviously I agree with you, Rich, but this is one of those games where just everything went wrong. Everything went wrong for us until the all Warriors third team came in.
A few moments later.
Draymond, they weren't playing whoop that trick, but does this remind you at all of the Memphis Game 5 when kind of the same thing happened? And is one of the benefits of your guys having so much playoff experience that there's like a comp for almost everything?
Yeah, you kind of seeing everything. They weren't playing whoop that trick, but they may as well have been. But yeah, I mean, at this point in our careers, we've seen it all, had all the experiences, so you got something to draw back on. But yeah, they played a good game. But whether they win by 1 or 50, it's a playoff series. It counts as one win.
A few moments later.
Jimmy, what was your level of movement tonight compared to last game?
It's getting better. It's getting there. Another day and some change of recovery and rest. But that's no excuse for how I played, how we played as a whole. Like I always say, if anybody takes that floor, you're expected to go out there and produce, and more than anything, you're expected to go out there and win.
A few moments later.
I gotta say, glad that Draymond said it was like the whoop that trick game. I felt the same way. When he got up and started waving his towel to whoop that trick in Memphis in 22 with the 3-1.
I remember that. You can't forget that. Yeah, I don't remember
facing the crowd. He said, if we're gonna whoop that trick, we're gonna whoop that trick together. Steph was vibing. The starters got rest. That was a Mike Brown game, actually. As I mentioned.
What was wrong with Steve?
It looks like Kerr was sick, by the way. Try to look that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for looking it up. I thought Pinky brought up a good point. Would it be better to have Jimmy bring up the ball? And I agree with you because, well, yeah, really, you said instead of pods, but really I'm thinking instead of Steph. And those turnovers will back me up on this one. But I think just Jimmy just wasn't healthy tonight. And so, yeah, we got kind of another one of those first quarter meltdowns that I just don't know what we could have done tonight because I just don't see Jimmy healthy at all right now for tonight. But Steph's at the podium.
Oh, let's go.
Here we go.
He's going to respond. If I know Wardell, he's going to respond next game. Let's go.
How cognizant are you about the way that they're closing out on your jump shot, particularly, swiping down on your thumb?
You don't think about it. If it's a foul, they should call it. That's it. If it's a foul, they should call it.
Steph, you were talking about getting off to a good start. How much of that do you feel like is on you to do? Even
on
though
what?
On you, like how much of a getting the right energy and urgency is on you, even though they're kind of, playing the kitchen sink defense against you?
Yes, it's a balance. I think we have some things that we can do going into Game 6 to get more organized and get a better rhythm offensively, whether it's me taking shots or not. But I did notice tonight was an even more concerted effort. Thompson got me twice at half court when I was trying to set up a play, worrying about, everything that was going on behind and not worrying about him. And then there were a couple of possessions where you get downhill and you see a lot of white jerseys. So you just got to figure out where the driving angles are. We need to get Jimmy more involved in the half court with the right spacing around him. And then, we all got to make shots. So it is on me to balance all of that and, put some points on the board and get ourselves some rhythm early.
A few moments later.
A couple other things in the comments I want to catch up on. We'll just go one by one. Kimbo says, if Jimmy's movement is limited, then we have to have people on the perimeter who can play one-on-one defense so Dre doesn't have to overhelp. I think it's more of a situation of whether Jimmy feels like, okay, this is me talking, right? I think it's more of a situation of whether Jimmy feels like he needs to bring it up a notch. So I just, man, this game got away real quick. And so, yeah, maybe they had a little bit of tricking it off after, just maybe when you're in that much pain, it's kind of hard to really figure out what to do about that, especially in a game 5. I don't mind. I mean, again, I'm just not as upset about this one. I don't think most people are either. So it's just tough. And then Jimmy goes on the podium and says, "Yeah, I just got to play better. No excuses." And then there's also Steph on the podium saying, "We need to get the ball to Jimmy more." So then that tells me that Jimmy was healthy enough. So who knows? But maybe Steph doesn't know. So I'm really nitpicking here.
What's the state of your thumb right now?
Cold.
There was a picture, I don't know if you've seen it online, where it looks pretty swollen. I think it was with you walking to the plane.
You got the feds on me? What are you talking about?
No, the internet is the feds at this point.
I love this league so much. I love it so much.
How is your thumb? Besides cold because you're icing it.
I don't even know how to answer it. It's just something you're dealing with and you keep it moving. As long as I can play. You got to rap for a reason, but that's it.
Do you feel it's impacting your game at all?
No. No. Not at all.
How many times does this guy turn down an excuse? You know?
Oh, yeah, right?
Love that. Love that. That's why he's the best player to root for.
Good. Man, I just got to say, man, that's what I love about you, Dean. We're so lucky to have you as, a Let's Go Warriors co-host because, you just say the right things at the right time, man, and you're always emotionally regulated no matter what, and you have the high vibrational energy, and it's just rare for you to lose it, which is not prevalent out there. What we're doing here is different than anywhere else. When we talk about certain stuff, me and you, Dean, especially you, it's like, dude, you bring something to the table that nobody else does. So I'm so glad to have you. That's my long-winded way of saying I have a lot of gratitude for you, man.
Thank you, Sensei. Right back at you. That's really nice of you to say.
He called me Sensei. I mean, do you guys get it now? Do you get it? Look at that. He called me Sensei. Love it.
Yeah. I did have a little bit of a rough day at school today. No, it was fine.
I could tell when you got on. You see, it's not really about the Warriors.
No, I never lost my positivity about the team, but just
no. I saw a little, little Anakin in you when you got on but it's all good.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, fair enough. But that really means a lot, Rich, because I really don't care about me doing anything very much. I care about you guys, seriously, because I never would have had any I would have been mumbling to myself, I never would have had any chance unless I think about it. Okay, if I was a Michael Jordan fan, I'd be totally alone every night. Michael Jordan's great, but they didn't have YouTube. This is a total miracle for me, that you have me on here, that we're able to talk from China to New York to everywhere around the world, I'm just so thankful that you guys have accepted me into your life, and even more thankful that I get to know all of you, because there's nothing better than to find a hero like Steph Curry and then be able to find a community to root for your champion. Not just the champion of something, but a champion for something. And Rich, you are the most Steph Curry effing journalist I've ever come across, sports analyst, anything. You're Kurt Cobain or Jim Morrison or something to me. Just you're the leader.
Wow.
You create this, and I couldn't be happier that or more grateful, that we get to come on here after a loss like that and be just solid, cool people. I don't know where I'd be without you, Rich. I really don't. I don't want to even think about it. So thank you, sir.
Cool, man. Well, you're giving me the ultimate compliment when you say I'm the Steph Curry of whatever I'm doing here. But like, it didn't. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm there yet, but like, it took a long, winding journey just to get here right now. Dub says Rich is a class act, and Dean Chambers is a straight up guy. Thank you all. And this is a future co-host, so to speak. We'll have Bruce on Friday, so I'm really excited about that. Like, Bruce is going to be Alfred. Bruce with the Alfred on Friday, literally, right? He's going to be buddy Alfred.
All I'm going to say is you guys better get on before Draymond's the co-host. So go for it, man. It's the best thing in the world.
All right. I wanted to say a couple more things just to clear out the kind of the to-do list of notes that I have on the side. Again, I criticize Adam Silver maybe too much. I gave you my men's league basketball analogy. Jonathan Kuminga, I did say that I could envision Jonathan being out there breaking the Houston zone. The problem is that, number one, he needs to be healthy, and they probably need to practice this. And the second thing is, I trust the coaching staff. Like, this is what they get paid millions for. Like, the stress that they're about to go through, the arguments that they're probably having behind closed doors about, should we play JK? Should we have him do this? It's like, it's not that easy, guys. And then we have people in the comments saying, oh, we need to play Trace Moore versus Looney, or the crazy one, which I totally disagree with, is if you don't play well, then you get benched, even if your name is Steph, Draymond, or Jimmy. Like, I don't know that I agree with that. And really, my answer is I just trust the coaching staff. Like, if let's say Steph comes out and throws a couple turnovers and he gets benched, okay, then that's literally what happens. You just got to put your faith in the coaching staff. I don't know what is the value of just second guessing Steve Kerr and his staff over and over and over and over again. Like,
we benched Steph tonight.
I feel like you're caught in a loop where that's just all you do is you do that. Now you could say I'm caught in a loop criticizing Adam Silver. So it goes both ways. I get that. But like, I don't know. I'd rather not. I'd rather just move on. Like, I actually don't have a problem with the refs not calling the foul. What Dylan is doing right now, like, just like Steve said, it's all within the rule book. It's just unfortunate that I think Adam's fatal flaw, everybody has a fatal flaw. So his fatal flaw is that just like Steph has turnovers, Draymond probably turnovers or techs or both. And like, Adam just is really good at making money, but protecting the game and keeping it in parallel with what I see on a playground. If I just go out to the playground and play 5-on-5 with random guys like that, I feel safer in that league than I do with some of the things I see in the NBA. That's just weird, in my opinion. But going back to just trusting Steve and all that, and just trusting and rooting for Steph and Jimmy and Draymond, and that's again why, like, I'm attributing today's loss to Jimmy's tailbone. I really am. I think that's the first domino that fell. Look at me, like, so I'm the ultimate, like, you can call me an apologist, but I'm just trying to. I have trust in Jimmy. Like, I know he'll play better, and I'm trying to figure out why it didn't
I don't
happen.
think we can attribute the loss to it, but we contribute getting blown out with the starters into that for sure. They might have beat us anyway in a close game, but there's no doubt to me that those guys were. How many minutes did Jimmy Butler play last game?
Yeah,
46.
Yeah.
So they were exhausted and kind of, who knows, man? This could be what was it, the Clippers game? Looked like a terrible loss, but it's kind of what we needed.
That's what Bruce said.
All I know
Give
is we
Bruce
did it the right way, and you have to trust that things work out.
Bruce said earlier that, yeah, we have an older team, so he thinks that had something to do with it tonight. So yeah, I think it's always a combination. We should play Trace over Loon. You know, you might be right. You might be right. And boy, did Trace make a case for himself for the next game with his play tonight. So we'll see. But I still would rather let our superstars, Draymond's a superstar, at least on defense. Jimmy and Steph figure things out. Even if Steph were to come out and throw a couple turnovers, he could still hit a dagger next time down. So I'm not in total agreement with the it's game 6 and somebody screws up and you got to sub them out type of deal. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Anything you want to add?
It's not really age. It was just a huge amount of minutes in a very, very close game where the starters got no rest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In game 4, in game 4. Well, these guys are rested now. No excuse at all. The younger you are, the less time you need for rest. And we just went from having a little bit of time off to having less than 48 hours off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, A, we rested our starters. B, man, Moody, if he doesn't come out in game 5 with like everybody get out of the way, then he's just not ready. And we know Mo stays ready. We know that. So I'm worried, man. This is not a good game for us, but it might be a good trajectory to be on. You know what I mean? I'm excited and positive, and that's not any kind of homerism, I think, because this isn't a situation where the sky is falling, We didn't play well today until the third string came in, but I have a lot of confidence, and Steph, that's 2 straight games in the playoffs where Steph has not been where we know he wants to be. So we know what he's like when he's feeling that kind of way. The Warriors had the Rockets had a little cold sweat too on that comeback. Their starters in against our bench players. That's not normal. Moody 9 of 18, 9 rebounds, 25 points. Steph Curry 3 of 9, 3-pointers, 13 points, 7 assists. Jimmy Butler 2 of 10. Everything went wrong for us today, and the team didn't give up. And really, that's the most important thing, isn't it? I mean, we've seen it throughout history of basketball where there's the Memorial Day Massacre in 1995. The Celtics just destroyed the Lakers, and the Lakers go on to win that title, winning 4 of the next 5 games. There's all kinds of examples, not just Warriors, but all throughout the league where this is exactly the kind of loss that the team needs. With that being said, man, the Rockets are playing great, and Fred VanVleet is killing us these last 2 games. That guy is on fire, except for that final shot. That guy's on fire, shooting the 3. Steph hasn't been, So plenty of things to improve upon, but the Warriors did not give them a beatdown by the end. It was a little closer than anyone would have wanted. So I think there's a little bit more confidence going into game 6, now than we were looking at it at the end of the second half. That's about it, I think. I don't know if there's too much to add to that. Other than I do really want Pat Spencer's ejection or whatever to be overturned. I thought that was ridiculous.
The only thing I got to add, and then I got to probably go transcribe, and all the praise for Moody. I will say this, and I said it in the live, is I'm a little disappointed with his point of attack defense. Guys are getting right by him. It's too easy. And so I know he was on the podium saying that he reads the situation, because he was getting steals at the point of attack, DeAnthony Melton style. The great thing about DeAnthony Melton was that he could do both. He could do the track down like Andrew Wiggins, or he could steal you right at the point of attack by reaching in because he's got a long wingspan. So Moody kind of had some of that, but now it's not working anymore. So now it's like, okay, Moody, so maybe you do need to go back to the shuffling of the feet style. I don't know, but guys are getting by you.
I'm always looking at something. So sometimes I'm looking at the hips. Sometimes I'm timing the dribble. Yeah, those are usually the two things I'm looking at when I'm on ball. But maybe I'm looking at both. Yeah.
When you talk about improving your lateral quickness, how do you do that? It can't just be like, it's got to be more than just doing a million defensive slides.
Yeah. That's why I say it's more figuring stuff out than even hard work. Watching other guys, Stack has been talking to me a lot, as well as AD and Rick on the strength staff. But just figuring out, if your feet are too wide, then sometimes it's harder to move laterally. Even though that you wouldn't think that, but if you're closer together, then you can step faster, you can move faster. But figuring things out like that, I think has been the biggest difference rather than doing a million defensive slides.
So there's that. And so I kind of want to just temper the enthusiasm for Moody. I thought he was due because he's been cold from outside and finally. But yeah, I always worry about like the defensive side of it. Just stay in front of people. So I'm worried about that still. And even Guy Santos, I think his point of attack hasn't been good lately either. So I'm waiting for our defense to get back up there. Of course, I thought Gary Payton was good in the limited minutes tonight before it got to be a blowout. So we're going to go with the main guys anyways. And that's also the problem with JK. When you play JK, then you got to worry about his point of attack defense as well. So I don't know. And that dovetails into the next thing, which is to beat a zone, you just got to get the ball into the middle. That's how you beat any zone. So although 1-3-1, sometimes that's tough. Alpine Striders used to play a 1-3-1 on us. But if you can get a guy at the nail and he's covered it, if it were a 1-3-1, I don't think Houston plays a 1-3-1. They got the two guards way outside. So if you can get it to the middle, you get a guy that can take it to the hole athletically like JK, or in this case, probably Jimmy, to basically run the offense from the middle of the floor like that, because they do have to respect his popping a jumper from the free throw line. So what we normally do and what works so well in game 4, again, this is another reason why we lost tonight, is that, and this will answer RG's question, because out of the gate, we played actually pretty well right at the tip-off. Draymond won the tip again against Sengun. Not that really has to do with anything, but so we had BP probing around and doing what he did in game 4. The only problem is he missed 2 shots in a row, and then he turned the ball over. And so that was just 3 consecutive touches by him that were just awful. And, well, not awful. I mean, you missed a jumper, but it's like he'd get the ball in hand grenade situation type of deal. And then it was just ugly. Right. So that contributed to kind of our downfall as well. And it was just bad mojo, I think. So that's another way to beat the zone, but you have to be effective and you have to find the right guy. And so that's why, again, I thought maybe Jimmy's not 100% because he doesn't seem to be getting in the right spots. And then so Steph goes on the podium and says, let's get the ball to Jimmy. So there's that.
One thing I'll say is Jimmy clearly was limited tonight, but there's every indication to me that had this been a little bit of a closer game, he would have been able to play, and he was moving better throughout the game as it warmed up, I thought. So we know what Jimmy's like in a big game setting, with the series on the line. I have no doubt that in game 6 back at home, we'll get a little bit better whistle, which I thought was really, really important tonight, actually. Yep. Warriors shot 15 to 22 from the free throw line, and the Rockets shot 32 of 38. 27 fouls for the Warriors and 22 from the Rockets. Another thing is just, honestly, they shot 13 30 from the 3, and we shot 15 to 44. Not going to win a lot of games losing free throw and three-point shooting. RG said Moses, for his defense, seems to be standing on the side of a Rocket player, and rather than being in front, is turning them a specific direction.
those are details. I mean, you can't imagine him like disobeying Jerry Stackhouse, right? So whatever they're doing is whatever he's doing. All I know is that he's getting beat. So they need to solve that.
That's true, definitely. Although for young players like that, the more they have confidence in their shot, I think it's just natural. It's just human nature that the harder, they're going to play on defense. And
let me give you a rebuttal.
yeah,
He was still bad on point of attack tonight, scored 25 points. So he was scoring tonight and getting beat.
but don't you think he improved once he started hitting shots?
I'd have to watch the tape, but
I feel like he was much better in that comeback than he was with the starters out there.
I saw him get beat during the comeback still. Like guys were beating him. So
Fair enough. Yeah, I think Moody could be
wrong,
in defense.
I don't know what the solution is, but that's on them to figure it out. Please don't let that happen in game 6.
We'll be at home, man. We'll be at home. We got the home crowd behind us. I think the team's going to have a lot of confidence.
Buddy, make your first open corner 3. Like, had he just made the open corner 3, that's a make or miss league. All he had to do was make it, but he missed it. And then so did Brandon. So, like, we're beating the zone the way we beat it in game 4, which is Brandon and Buddy hit shots. They didn't hit shots tonight. And it's like, dang.
For whatever you want to say about Coach Kerr, my favorite thing is that he really does have that triangle offense sense of everybody should touch the ball, and we're going to try and get everybody to be their maximum as possible. I think that is so underrated when there's nobody on this team who's, no offense, because he was great at that, but PJ Tucker on offense, where it's just don't make a decision, just go stand in the corner or whatever, And I think this has to be a confidence builder, even though it was a loss for everybody on the team, and that's looking at a silver lining in the clouds, in dark clouds. But I mean, come on, you guys were cheering, weren't you? We were coming back down 31. We got that to 13.
I said Braxton Key's name so much, Pat Spencer's name so much, Kevin Knox's name so much, Trace,
Moody.
He dunked it. Yeah, Moody over and over. I'm not a Moody hater. I just forgot to say Moody.
Yes, sir.
Moody was great.
Start taking teams seriously. Well, it's I don't feel like they haven't been taking teams seriously. Like first we have to admit, like, dude, the Rockets are pretty good, man.
Yeah,
they're really tough to stop. I can't tell you how many times it was like another team maybe would have been intimidated by ball pressure, and they just kind of went, I'm just going to jump forward, and I don't think your guy can stop me from getting to the rim. Layup, and one, whatever.
Love about Amen. Amen just goes and goes and goes. Like that's the it factor for Amen.
Yeah, he's got a nuclear reactor on his back, man.
Attack. Like,
gosh,
he may not be quite as forceful as JK, but it's really close, and he does it in a way that's really decisive and just gets you on your heels every single time, and doesn't turn it over when he dribbles. That's the thing. How does he do that? So if I were JK, I'd get some tape of Amen and just figure out what he's doing that it's a little bit different. That'd be a good comp for JK. We talk about all these different comps for JK. Just go get some Amen tape film and just go watch Amen over and over.
Honestly, Eason as well, right?
Yeah, they cut hard. Oh wait, it's cutting hard.
Oh yeah,
I said in the beginning.
And rebounding, man, that does frustrate me about Kamigo. Like, dude, don't jump, box out. You know what I mean? Box out, then jump.
Learn to time the jump correctly to catch the ball. Like, he doesn't really have that yet. But I always go back to like these young players that haven't. He started the American game at age 13, so it's getting a late start. So I think it's that. Like most of these, Amen Thompson got started at probably age 5, 7, 9 at worst. He's got a head start on Jonathan, almost an unfair head start, but actually most of the Americans are like that. They start at such a young age. They're already running around. Like, I got all the guys that played in my basketball league back in the day. If they have kids, they got them playing basketball right now. One of them's like 3 or 4 years old. It's like ridiculously young. And I don't say anything because I know that, they want their kid to flourish in basketball, maybe get a scholarship to some junior college or college, and that would just be their dream.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that would be crazy. But like, so they're starting them out early. And then you take an actual athlete, world-class athlete like Amen and JK. They're both world-class athletes. Speaking of world-class athletes, thank you for rooting for the Warriors, Usain Bolt. you sent me
let's
the Usain
go.
Bolt short. I appreciate that.
Kimbo told him.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure Kimbo's like, oh yeah. But anyway, I'm honestly like, I'm not frustrated by JK. I wouldn't say that word anymore because I just understand it. It's just like, it's okay for me. What are you gonna do?
Well, he's right on the nice edge of it's the AAU thing, These guys can hit incredible layups, shoot crazy jumpers, and make them, and they don't know how to throw an inbound pass or a bounce
but Amen is an AAU guy too, so he's the exception because clearly Amen,
of course,
done his fundamentals and all that. So
Amen's interesting because they went to overtime elite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is unlike the G League Ignite. That's a lot more like high schoolers rather than like Jarrett Jack types. JK. It's too bad he was sick tonight,
Yeah, he would have got some turn.
I don't know what would have happened, obviously, but I feel like this would have been a really interesting game, down 30 something to see if he handled the defensive effort that the team was giving. Because it hit some buckets, obviously, to claw back down to 13, but I thought the defense and the rebounding and we struck a little that team struck a little fear in the Rockets, man. They did, like, the hoop is no longer open. Now we have to shoot. That's not disrespecting their shooters. Fred VanVleet in particular has been lights out, and I think Eason hit a couple corner threes today. Yeah, so I thought our the defense that the team played in the comeback was really helpful because if they brought their starters in and then closed us out, it'd be different. They brought their starters in and we still kind of played really well,
Yeah.
So obviously you get the Warriors starters to do that, then have the bench able to do that as well. And it's like they might have to keep their starters out. They, if we can make them play their starters, Tom Thibodeau minutes, I think that will. Yeah, I think that'll help. I think that'll help the Warriors, and also I don't know on the road if they're gonna have the same level of energy. They might. I can see them doing that, but I can also see it being an advantage at Chase Center. Oh yeah, the number of turnovers tonight. The Rockets had 12 and the Warriors had 14.
Where'd you get 14 from?
ESPN.
Yeah, it says 15 on NBA site. That's weird.
Ooh, strange. Found a little glitch in the matrix. Well, either way, Post had 3 and Steph had 3.
Yeah, he had that bad stretch. Golly. Oh, he's admitted to having nerves. Not how Draymond would go about dealing with it. He wouldn't even mention it. Never show weakness, But was Quinten Post, did he grow up in Saginaw? No, different environment. So I don't blame him. It is what it is.
Well, I think for a guy in QP's position too, taking responsibility is pretty honorable. It's different than Steph saying, "Yeah, my thumb was bothering me." That sounds like an excuse. When a role player or young guy does it,
which Steph did not do. FYI, anybody hopping on?
No, he did the exact opposite of that. All he said was, "I love this league." That dude's crazy, man.
Yeah, because they zoomed in on his thumb. It is kind of funny to zoom in on a guy's thumb walking to the airplane. It is kind of, there's some little mild eye roll there.
You should wear gloves, man.
But back to QP real quick. I do think QP is going to be an awesome vet. I wrote it on the website, not just physically and on the court, but also on the podium. On the podium, he will be a cross between Bogut and Clay in terms of maybe
Oh,
not so much Clay, maybe not so much Clay on the podium, but it just feels like, everything matches up. The fact that he shoots threes, the fact that he's a center, is like, to me, is like a cross between. I could just envision it in the future. Hopefully, we'll have him be a Warrior for a long time, but like he could be like
yeah.
between Bogut and Clay, right? Yeah, one thing QP does on the podium is he'll go blah 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 blah, right? It's like he's saying this is common sense. This is a common sense answer, right? That's sort of like Clay in a way.
Yeah, QP he's a unique player, man. There are not too many 7-footers who can shoot threes who are from Europe and played 5 years in American college. He's had a lot of experience and then playing the Warriors after that. He's very emotional for a foreign player, honestly. And I know that's a stereotype, but it is a little bit true. I think the home crowd will really help him a lot in Game 6.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yep. Yeah, totally. He's still a young player. A young player is a young player is a young player, or a rookie is a rookie is a rookie. You're going to play better at home. Your game is based on energy. You're going to play better with the energy behind you.
It takes a long time for boos to excite booing the away team booing to excite the same energy as the home team cheering.
I was envisioning Carlos Boozer real quick, but okay, gotcha.
My guy, Carlos Boozer, Darren Williams, Utah Jazz, let's go. But when QP flies through the lane and dunks the ball, and you go, "Wow, this guy's more athletic than I remembered." When he starts yelling and Houston's booing him or whatever, it takes years for that to feel the same as the home team cheering. He's a very expressive player when he does something well, and when he disagrees with a call or makes a mistake. At the end of the day, it really boils down to wear those shirts.
Yeah.
Damn it. Wear them. Tech bros.
Well, not just the tech bros. I don't know what it is, but you could see on our video 2 games ago.
You pay all that money for that seat, and you're not going to wear the shirt?
Well, I'll tell you one thing is they're all extra larges just out of logistics. Some people don't want to, especially if you're not an extra large, you feel like, oh, this is too big, and it just doesn't feel right. But they got to get over that hump.
Hardly anyone's even going to notice you. They're going to notice the sea of gold, though.
That's a reason why they don't wear it, is they think they won't be noticed until, like in the video. Again, go look at the video on the channel from Game 4. It's like the behind the scenes courtside stuff. They had to out people on the Jumbotron. It shouldn't have come down to that, but they had to do that to get people to.
Hey man, you're just making Oakland and Oracle look good, There was never a problem there.
Yeah.
Still a great crowd though. Not the Bay knows basketball. Every city in the Bay. But come on, man. Oh no, Rich, you're spoiled. You're spoiled.
What do you mean?
You are, man.
I'm spoiled, or the guy that actually pays $3,000 to sit courtside is he possibly spoiled?
No, I meant you're used to the greatness of
Oracle.
Well, just Bay Area being a great basketball town, For instance,
I freely admit, and maybe piss some people off by saying this, I can't stand the tech bros. I really can't stand them. Sorry.
Yeah, but the crowd in New Orleans, they just don't care in the same way the crowd in the Bay has always cared, Even when the team wasn't winning, you always had great crowds who were ahead of the Jumbotron and would know when to chant LetsGoWarriors versus Ref You Suck at certain times of the game without being prompted. So I just think the seats are important for revenue, but man,
true, it'll help with taxes. Luxury
put
tax.
Some agents out there in the front couple rows on the TV level. Let's get some people out there to make sure that place is deafening for Game 6. We do not want to go back to Houston. I'll tell you that.
So now we're suddenly just like the Sacramento series. We got to close out Game 6 at home.
Yeah, without home court advantage too for Game 7. I mean, obviously we can do it 4-2. On the other hand, time after time, this Warriors team, Steph and Draymond in particular, they put huge pressure on themselves and they reach a certain level and then we're like, we can do it tonight. And then like, oh, we didn't do it. Everybody gets all the talking heads because this is the dynasty still. You know, all this pressure builds up. Oh, Warriors, lost this. I don't know if Steph can handle being guarded by this player or that player. He's a Curry stopper. And then it gets way out of bounds and the Warriors respond. And then we get no love for the next round. That's just what happens when you're the only dynasty in the NBA. There's no one else. We have the most pressure, but we also have the most bulletin board material, right?
At least we're not the Milwaukee franchise, not to pick on them, but boy, they've got problems. At least we're not Phoenix. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to say anything. I just feel bad for them, and that helps me feel more gratitude for being a Warriors fan. Knock on wood. Let's hope nothing happens, right?
No, it's sympathy for them. They had Dame have a torn Achilles and then lost on an overtime layup with a second and a half to go in the next game. And they have, an MVP, man. And just, we weren't too far away from that this year either. And we got Jimmy, which was a great trade. But if the relationship with the Heat were better, I have no idea where this team would be right now. Yeah, we just got lucky. I didn't even know Mike Dunleavy played with Jimmy Butler. That was a huge help.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But when you do things the right way, you get rewarded. We've certainly been through the ringer, man. It's been a long 11 years.
Meanwhile, 29 other franchises and their fan base just heard you and rolled their eyes. We've been through a lot. Oh, yeah, 4 championships in 10 years. That's going through the ringer, all right.
Yeah. Have your teams ever been hated that much? More ridiculous stuff said about your best player? More injuries? I don't know. Although 4 rings is a lot. It's a lot of championships, man. And Ime chose not to respond about Dylan Brooks swiping at Steph's thumb, which Kimbo does not like. Called him a coward. I don't know. Why would you respond to that? You got to play the diplomatic game there.
He's not a coward. Inside the NBA, everybody knows what Houston does and what kind of team they are. So, all right, guys.
Anyway, I gotta go get some groceries, man. And you gotta get that
started. Go ahead. I'm gonna run the Cholo, but go ahead. If you need to go. And I gotta go too.
No, I got time for a little Cholo fun.
Cholo file. Here you go, guys. It's live Friday, Sunday.
Oh yeah. Right.
Pretty sure it's
Today he came back. He came here today talking about how he got a new blicky.
For the uninformed, what's a blicky?
You don't know about no blicky, man. You had a blicky? You told me you had a blicky growing up. Yeah. You was a shooter. A strap. Yeah, that's a blicky.
And that must be broad day time. Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Rich.
We'll see everybody Friday. And Bruce Morrow, get Bruce up here.